Simply, we are saying that in Rwanda, just in 1 week, we had three big activities. The election of the National Assembly Speaker, the reappointment of the Prime Minister, as well as the reappointment of ministers and appointment of three new ministers, replacing some of them who have been there that we'll discuss.
I was reading on a friend's timeline, and this is what they had to say. The period between when one's name misses from the yellow paper, yet their position appears, to the time they are named again must be very lonely. Some people get used to these appointments and the power it comes with it, that there is little in life way from it. I need a former politician's biography. I read a former politician's biography years ago, and he expressed how life changed drastically with no more phone calls coming through and a few of his calls to former colleagues being answered. Who are you without that job? Is a question we are yet to discuss tonight. Best thing on, it began with the yellow paper. The yellow paper was released earlier this week, and of course it began with one name which had the Prime Minister, that is Dr. Edward Ngirente. Later on, we saw the yellow paper that had the rest of the cabinet. Like the Constitution states, in 15 days, the President, after inauguration, should appoint the Prime Minister, then who shall guide government business as the rest of the cabinet is installed, because now we have fully the three arms of government. We have to see what happens with the judicially, because so far a couple of changes have been seen in the cabinet, which is the arm of government that handles government business. We have seen the legislature installed, yes, and now let's discuss the new appointments, the maintained appointments here on the spot. Yes, we closed off with talking about the appointments and of course a few people that had, I couldn't say lose their jobs, because I mean it's an appointment, right? So Innocent Haumugisha is here with me to discuss the appointments and of course some of the people who had to leave their offices. Innocent, welcome.
Thank you so much, Bright.
Yes, we saw another yellow paper being released earlier this week.
Yes.
Had some names, missing some names.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So actually, when you say yellow paper, I think these yellow papers have come in two phases. The first yellow paper came as the appointment or reappointment of the Prime Minister. That is Dr. Edward Ngirente, who was reappointed by His Excellency the Republican President, President Paul Kagame. Then a few hours later, we also saw the swearing in of members of Parliament, with choosing the new Speaker of the National Assembly, that is Gertrude Kazarwa. That's a new face, also a new member.
Yes, straight from the Senate.
Straight from the Senate, replacing the one who has just been there for quite some time,
yes.
Donatir. So it's actually new changes coming in, but some people are maintained. So after that, we have also seen the appointment and the reappointment of cabinet ministers. So simply, we are saying that in Rwanda, just in 1 week, we had three big activities. The election of the National Assembly Speaker, the reappointment of the Prime Minister, as well as the reappointment of ministers and appointment of three new ministers, replacing some of them who have been there that we'll discuss.
Interesting. Before we go into the appointments themselves, does this actually answer the previous question that we had been discussing? Is Rwanda a constitutional country, mandated indeed to this constitution, or is it a dictatorial?
Good question. And having explained all this, even in our previous discussions, it's clear and simple for you to recognize that Rwanda is a democratic nation, abiding to its constitution, because we have seen Rwanda respecting its constitution by practicing what is stipulated in the constitution. For instance, the electoral process. We have seen from the word go, where people go to render in their candidature, from candidature to campaigns, campaigns to elections, elections to inauguration, inauguration. Whatever is being done after the president has is sworn in is what is in this constitution. 15 days period to appoint a new prime minister, to appoint a new ministers is what he has followed. So when it comes to a dictator doesn't need to follow those channels. He just wakes up and changes everything according to his desire. So it's different from what is in Rwanda. In Rwanda, he doesn't wake up and change everything according to his desire. Instead, he follows what the law allows him to do. He uses the power vested in him.
By the Constitution.
By the Constitution. Even appointing of, let me quote the law for you. Appointing of the new ministers, he actually cited Rwandan Constitution in its article number 116. So in Article 16 is where the powers vested in the president to appoint ministers in Rwandan Constitution. This is what he practiced. So that answers your question. It shows you that that's democracy comes in. Yes.
Interesting, indeed. That is Rwanda's constitution being a pamphlet of its own as a body, as not just a book and paper that was written by the mandated fathers of this nation, but indeed one that guides the country, as Innocent has continued to explain to us. Now, I always want to start with the spilled beans.
Yes.
Names like Mimosa Urere.
Yes.
Names like Jeanne d'Arc.
Yes.
Names like Chrysostom
Ngabitsinze, yes.
are missing on the yellow paper.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Jeanne d'Arc actually was not going to come on the yellow paper because she was fired earlier on during the campaigns. According to what we see, what we are told publicly is that she's being investigated by the competent institution, that is Rwanda Investigation Bureau, RIB. So with time, RIB will tell us what they were investigating her on, what the findings, if she has got a case to answer or if she's innocent. Because RIB has not communicated anything, so as far as I'm concerned. We also saw Ngabitsinze not coming back on the yellow paper. Actually, I had said this yesterday, that he might not come back. Because simple of too many reasons. There are so many other reasons, but for me, I will just analyze the two of them. One, we had the rice problem, where people had a bump harvest of rice, and then it was kept somewhere in some stocks, maybe in Ugarama and some other places. That rice got rotten. So the farmers have actually made the loss, even after having a bump harvest. Then we also had the cow skins, which were supposed to be used in one or two industries or exported, I don't know. And then they were also kept somewhere in a stock. They also got rotten. So all those were losses made for the business, our businessmen. So when they make a loss like that, it means that they are not paying taxes. So if they don't pay taxes, the government also, on the other hand, loses. So I think that's one of the reasons why he had to not to be reappointed.
Okay, that would bring me to a question, Innocent. How far or how limited is the minister mandated to actually make sure that these products are actually supposed to be gotten a market for, or even they have the right storage if they should be kept?
The minister is not mandated to make sure that this rice is sold or it is kept. But he is mandated to put in place the supervision of what his ministry is mandated to do. So if he is in charge of industries, that means that he is mandated to monitor the industries, to know the daily operation of these industries, to attract investors who come and invest in these industries, to attract the market. So the only thing he is required to do is to put in place the policies or the politics that will be favorable for these investors and supervise them. I know he has technicians who are in charge of all those issues, but those technicians, they need supervision. That's where he comes in. Yeah, thank you so much.
Then my question would come, why would he be the only one to pay the price, yet the Ministry of Agriculture has not paid that price? The Ministry of Finance has not paid that price, because they were all supposed to have helped this man, don't you think?
No, I don't think so, because if the Minister of Agriculture comes in at that point, it means that for Minister of Agriculture, they did what they should have done. It's a plus for them, because the harvest was a bumper harvest. Minister of Agriculture can come in if they fail to produce the harvest, if they had less. Now they had enough and more than expected harvest. So that means for the Minister of Agriculture, it's a plus. For the Minister of Finance, it's also a plus, because for us to have the bumper harvest of rice, it means money was invested. What they call hunga, what all those issues, that money was provided.
And to the cooperative.
And the cooperative, the money was provided at the level of money. So at the level of other technical issues of agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture was also there. So where did they go wrong is where now the Minister of Industries comes in.
So it can be said that he was supposed to actually have bridged the gap in between the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, to say that, okay, we have all done our part, we have a bumper harvest, but the prices maybe on the international market are not yet favorable. Can we pull some things together to maybe improve on the storage for these things, or make sure these things don't rot, that by the time we're selling them, we have a good price too? That's why he failed, didn't he?
That's what I'm saying. He failed to manage the responsibility mandated to him, to produce the policies, the management of all those issues that you're talking about. Failing to put them together and manage them, be responsible, in charge of that issue. That's what he failed. So I think that's one of the reasons why he was not reappointed. Failing to find favorable conditions for these investors to invest, as you have said, to have normal prices, to have the market. They can only have those things when there are good policies put in place.
Interesting.
To attract investors.
Interesting. Yet we move to another ministry that is yet to receive a new member of cabinet. Yes, from being the vice president of management in basketball at Ferwaba. Amazing man, civil engineer. I've met him personally. He's a very jolly man, tall like the tower, and he has bright ideas. We are yet to see. Does Niyo bring...
Niyo Richard,
yes,
coming to the Minister of Sports, replacing Munyagaju.
Yes. Let's begin with Munyagaju herself. During her tenure, from the time she was appointed in 2019 to now, we have seen the election of two amazing sports facilities. Amazing. The BK Arena and the National Stadium being revitalized to 45,000 seats. Great standard, amazing it can be. Amazing parking lots, amazing amenities and facilities. Then we get to see Rwanda participate for the first time in the Afro-Basket women basketball competition. We get to see the initialization of an NBA franchise, BAL, coming to Rwanda. We get to see, for the first time ever, a Rwandan team, though most of them did not qualify from Rwanda, going to the Olympics. What did she do wrong? Why did she go wrong?
I think, thank you so much. That's a good question, but I'll answer it in 2-3 sections. When you talk about two structures coming up, actually those are prestigious structures, like Amahoro Stadium being elevated to 45-seater capacity. We're also getting the Kigali Arena, BK Arena, built in the city of Rwanda, Kigali. I don't think the Minister of Sports is in charge of building such big infrastructure, though they are in his responsibility. But you also have to think of the Minister of Infrastructure. The Minister of Infrastructure is the one in charge of building these national infrastructures, such as roads and all those stadiums. So I don't think we can put that in her name. That must be a well-organized government initiative. That's one. Number two, we talked about Rwanda going for Olympics, Rwanda having a free basketball team. Now, that's where now she comes in. Those simply means that these are her policies that she introduced that were favorable, that favored the formation of those teams, that favored the qualification of those teams. So on that one, I think we cannot blame her for anything. Actually, we can give her a plus because it's an indication that she had done what she could do.
Interesting.
Yes.
But then if you take her out of the picture when it comes to the development of sports infrastructure, then I would want to take you back to Chrysostom Ngabitsinze, where he said where he failed is with the coordination of the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance towards bringing up the infrastructure to put up what could have prevented the losses that we talked about. Now, we are seeing the possibility of an election of two facilities. Don't you think then the Ministry of Sports had a good coordinator who coordinated with the Ministry of Finance and whoever was is supposed to be the Minister of Infrastructure, like you said, to make sure these things came into place?
Again, there's something that must be at the back of your mind. Being or missing on a yellow paper does not mean that this is the end of the road. Sometimes you might be omitted from the yellow paper because there are some other responsibilities waiting for you.
Interesting.
Remember that now the president has just been sworn in, and after being sworn in, he's putting in place appointments, different appointments. So you're expecting him to appoint more people. What if Mimosa goes to NBA? Right, she joins Kerea Kamanzi because it looks like she understands it. So this is what I was saying. Being omitted from the yellow paper, it's not automatic that this is the end of the road. We have seen people here in Rwanda being dismissed in the morning, and in the afternoon they're appointed to different positions. So already Mimosa not coming on the yellow paper. It's too early for people to speculate why she was not there, why she's not coming back. She might come back, goes to another ministry or goes to another institution. It's always like that, because even these ones who have been appointed, let's say like the new Minister of Labor, Christine Ngurikinga, she was an ambassador for Rwanda to Germany for quite some time, for so long. So you can see from her being an ambassador, she came back to work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She went back to Germany, she came back, today she's a minister. She's now a cabinet minister. When you go to the same one, Nyirishema Richard, he was also a leader of National Basketball Association in Rwanda for quite some time. So all those are reasons why when you're not on the yellow paper, you should not believe that it is the end of the road. Yes.
Interesting indeed. We are yet to see who are the new people. Where have they been? What are they yet to do? What new thing can they bring towards their experience, in terms of their experience towards serving the next 5 years? But before we got there, we have another new person replacing Dr. Yusta Kaitesi. They call her Dodo on the internet, but I would like to call her Dr. Picard at the Rwanda Governance Board. Most people on the internet are saying Dr. Yusta Kaitesi has been cast by the pastors whose churches were closed. What do you say?
Those are speculations. This is why I'm saying, if someone is eliminated on the yellow paper or omitted on the yellow paper, it's not automatic that she did something that is not right. I said this is just a new government coming in. The president was just sworn in last week. So it simply means that new appointments are coming. So you may find that Yusta might be appointed to a different position, depending on the president's desire or how he sees where he's going to fit. The issues of the church, I don't think it can come back today, because this issue has been discussed even before. In 2020, over 5,000 churches were closed. This time around, 4,500 churches are closed. So I don't think that she closed them in an illegal manner, because those churches were closed following the law, with permission from other wings, government institutions. Because you cannot go to close the church without a police there. You cannot go to close the church without the minister of government being aware. You cannot close the church without the office of the president knowing that you're going to close it. So I don't think that could have made her to be omitted from the yellow paper.
Well, talking about the new and good things, but still on the bad things, we skipped Mudra Maria, Jeanne d'Arc. While still at the Ministry of Environment and Natural, whatever it can be, management, she had offenses there. Then I would want to ask, why wait until now to actually go against her? Does that mean that our law or seeking of the law and justice takes that long to amend someone's wrongdoing, or was it another maybe political move?
No, I wouldn't call it a political move because, you know, I'm not an investigator, but one thing I know, when it comes to investigation, there are steps, it's a procedure. So I might be seated here right now, but maybe they're investigating something that I don't know. After 1 month, after 1 week, they call me when they find evidence. So once the evidence is found, they have to start now investigating to call you. So I think why she was dropped, why she was fired, was to allow the law enforcement to play their role by investigating her. Because I don't think it can be an easy issue for them to investigate a sitting minister. That's why maybe she was asked to step aside so that she's investigated. And when investigations are taking place, sometimes people take it in a wrong way that once they are investigating, they have to arrest you. It's not all the time that you are arrested.
Interesting.
They investigate what the findings of the investigation. Once they find you as a wanted person, as a wrongdoer, they will now start prosecuting you. But when they find you are not being answerable to anything, they let you go. So on that one, on Jeanne d'Arc, we have to wait for the report that will come from RIB. RIB has got a spokesperson, Dr. Murangira, who will tell us what RIB found in the investigation. And that's when people can talk. Because right now, if you talk about it, it will be speculations. And then another most important thing people must know, even if you are an analyst on social media, you are not allowed to analyze the issues that are under investigation, even those that are in the courts of law, because you might jeopardize the investigation.
And disclose of
evidence. Imagine if I know the evidence and come here and mention it. I'm jeopardizing the investigation. That's why they keep quiet. That's why we are even advised to keep quiet until the matter comes to exposure. Yes.
You are not yet a criminal until proved guilty. Innocence is everybody's way of life. We await the fate of an amazing woman that gave us a public holiday on her first day in office. But now she's due investigation. RIB is here to give us what's been taking place. For now, we can take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll see the rest of the people that have been maintained. Interesting for me is Dr. Sabe Sanzimana at the Ministry of Health, and of course the Minister of ICT, though I'm yet to discuss why the Ministry of Education was not tampered with. Welcome to yet another segment of On the Spot. My name is Bright Bashir on the spot, but in this business they call me TR Bright, and that is everywhere on social media. But remember, you can always subscribe, also hit the like button. The notification bell is over on the side for new updates when they come in on time. I'm still with Innocent Habumujisha discussing the new cabinet that has come into play. And we begin with, who are the 3 new members? Where have they been? What have they been doing? And what kind of experience are they bringing on the table? Innocent.
Thank you so much. We had 3 new ministers coming and joining the other ministers who were reappointed, the incumbent ones. We have Christine Nkurikinga, born 1965. She has been an ambassador to Germany for quite some times, from 1991 to 2005. From 2000 to 2015, she was in Germany. Then we also have another Minister of Industries, that is Sarah His Prudence, who has also come with a lot of experience. Then we have Nyirishema Richard, who has also come to replace Madame Aurore Mimosa. All these three ministers, when you look at their profiles or their CVs, they have got heavy and rich CVs in terms of experience. So we expect them to come in the cabinet as new ministers with a lot of experience, which is a good thing for His Excellency to have members, ministers with a good experience in his new cabinet. So we expect to have positive changes, positive improvement, and positive development.
Interesting. Let's look at the Ministry of Education, one of the ministries that has been hit by every person in the country, visitor or native. Are you convinced that the reappointment of the minister at the Ministry of Education could bring some changes this time around?
Yes, because she's a new minister there in that ministry, even if she has been reappointed, but she's been there, I think, less than a year. So sometimes give people time to work. So we should give her time, because so far so good as much as I'm concerned. We have seen actually just this past holiday, where these youngsters who had written their exams and failed, they were given second chance to be taught and to also resit for their exams. That is a good point.
A new invention, yes.
That's a new invention. So give her time to also do her job. Yes.
Interesting. We have seen one of, I think, the longest term serving ministers, Dr. Saben Sanzimana. He is back at the Ministry of Health. What's your take?
It's not that saving sorrow. I think he has also been there for less than 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. He replaced this man who was there doing COVID, who has gone to, I think, to the World Health Organization, Ngamije. He was called Ngamije, Honorable Ngamije. So as far as I'm concerned also, sometimes it is bad to judge. It's not, I think it's difficult to judge someone that you have not employed, or to judge someone that you don't even his performance. You are not able to detect it because I'm not the direct supervisor. But you can judge basing on speculations. So when you analyze basing on speculations, sometimes you can make a wrong analysis. But basing on what we see, we're basing on the rate of the people who have paid for health insurance, mituweli, basing on the number of health facilities that has been built, basing on the supply of drugs in the hospitals, we have no shortages so far, basing on the reinforcements that is made, or the efforts that are put in place once we have breakouts like this mpox, COVID-19, Ebola, how the government comes in to try and prevent those outbreaks. Basing on those indications, we can see that our Minister of Health is doing good, is in a good position, because they do manage. They contained COVID-19, they contained Ebola, they are containing mpox. We are not hearing different people complaining of shortage of drugs in hospitals. We are not hearing of death rates going high. Instead, it's going low. Birth rates, those dying while giving birth, those dying in hospitals because of not having professionals to attend to them. We're not having such cases frequently, like in our neighboring countries like Congo. So that is an indication that Dr. Sabe is doing fine. That's what I can base on when judging him.
Interesting. The Minister of ICT is back. The Minister of Youth is back. The Minister for Presidency is back. The Minister of course, the Prime Minister is back. The Minister of Infrastructure, the Infrastructure Fraternity is back. We are yet to see who is not coming back to the judiciary. Thank you for keeping it on the spot. My name is Brian Bashir. I was with Innocent Hawumujisha to bring you what was trending mostly in the week in the world of politics and governance.